guys, so I wanted to film something unrelated to books today, and that is my favourite films video. I think most of us who enjoy a good book enjoy a good film because we're definitely story people, so I thought maybe this would be of interest to some of you. I am by no means a cinema connoisseur. My film taste is very much my own and not exactly highbrow. Maybe you'll discover some new films from watching this video. These are also in no particular order. Film number one is a piece of foreign cinema, at least it's not in the English language, and that is Starbuck. Now this is a French-Canadian film and it is in French. But this film is a comedy and it follows our main character David, who when he was in his 20s sold his sperm to a sperm bank, and he is now I think in his 40s, and he finds out he has over 500 children because there was a problem with the sperm bank and his was the only viable sperm for a few years. 200 odd of which are suing to find out who their biological father is, and obviously he doesn't want them to find out who he is, but out of curiosity he ends up visiting some of the children that are suing him without telling them that he's their father, and the story ensues from there. Such a wonderful film. It is so well acted, so beautifully filmed, the characters really play well off one another, and it's really funny and heartwarming. I just absolutely adore this film. It also has a really nice soundtrack. You may be thinking this sounds familiar, and yes, they did remake this film in English with the title Delivery Man starring Vince Vaughn. I have not seen this film and I do not care to. I cannot see Vince Vaughn playing this character in the slightest, and the original is just so perfect. The next film I want to mention is The Boat That Rocked, and I absolutely adore this film, especially the soundtrack. I bought the soundtrack on CD when it first came out years ago because it was just so good. It is a film set in the 60s and the soundtrack is all kind of 60s music, and it follows a pirate radio station on a boat, and yet they just play rock music from their boat and on this pirate radio station. An excellent bunch of characters, phenomenal British actors like Bill Nighy, Chris O'Dowd, etc, etc, and absolutely hilarious. I think a lot of the films in this video are going to be comedies. This film is actually another film starring Chris O'Dowd, and that's Frequently Asked Questions About Time Travel, and it is such a simple yet on point film. It is about three guys who go to the pub together, and the entire film is set in this one pub just at different periods in time. So one of the characters goes to the men's room to go to the toilet, and when he comes out of the men's room finds himself in a different period of time in the same pub, and it turns out there is a time portal in the bathroom, and basically they just go in and out of the time portal, ending up in different periods of time, and they find out something happens to them in the future, and it's kind of like piecing all these bits together, and it's so funny. It also has Anna Faris in it. It's a little bit of a cultural crossover there with the US, and just another film that makes me laugh over and over again. Just to break things up from the comedy a little bit, the next film I want to mention is Pan's Labyrinth. Another film not in English, sorry. This film is in Spanish. It is a cross between fantasy and historical fiction. I think it's set after the Spanish Civil War or near the end of the Spanish Civil War. It follows a young girl whose mother remarries to like a fascist general, and they go to live with him. There's this whole historical background about the turmoil in Spain between the socialists and the fascists, and what's going on there within her house and the family, but then she is also discovering this fantasy world basically in their back garden or in the grounds around them. She meets a faun who introduces her to magic and gives her these tasks to complete. And there are some kind of horrifying moments and some kind of sad moments, but it is such a beautiful film. It's so beautifully filmed, beautifully acted, gorgeous special effects for the sort of fantasy elements, and I like that it combines those kind of two genres, so multiple people can enjoy this. Back to the comedy. The next film I want to mention is The Full Monty. Now I have mentioned this film recently in a favourites video. This is one of my oldest favourite films. I've loved this film since I was very young. It stars Robert Carlyle, who's one of my absolute favourite actors, and it is set in England and follows a group of unemployed, made redundant men who come up with this idea to strip for money, and they basically just try to find some other guys to strip with and put on this strip show in like the sort of local community centre. It's a phenomenal cast, such funny characters, and like really emotional and touching as well as funny despite the topic. It's really like wonderful insight into like humans. It's such a good film. More recent favourite of mine is Pride, and this again is a comedy but also a bit of a social commentary, and it's based on a real story, and it follows a group who call themselves the Lesbian and Gays Support the Miners group, and it's set during the miners' strike in the UK during the 1980s, and it is based on the true story of this bunch of gay and lesbian young people. Well, they're not all that young, but they get together and decide to raise funds to help the striking miners who obviously aren't getting paid. You're not always met with that much friendliness in return to their help, so it's about these two groups of people, the miners and the gay and lesbian community, who are both kind of struggling against adversity, or both being put down by the police and society, and them coming together and helping one another and just doing something really wonderful and some fantastic political activism. And it's such a wonderful story, and I'm so glad it actually happened. Not the sad bits of it, but the fact that these people did this. My next favourite is another old favourite of mine, and it is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, starring Marilyn Monroe. I adored this film as a child. I loved musicals as a child, and I still do. But Gentlemen Prefer Blonde was always my favourite. It's about these two friends, one who is recently engaged, who decide to go on a cruise together, and they're going to meet the other's fiancé in Paris. And it's basically just about their antics on the cruise ship. There's lots of fantastic songs, some beautiful clothes, and outfits and dresses are just spectacular. Some really classics like Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend are from that film. And just an absolutely wonderful story about friendship and romance, fun, like it's just great, and the songs are amazing. This video is actually getting quite long, so I think I'm going to cut it off here. Those are some of my favourite films. There's definitely more, so if you enjoyed this and you like hearing about some of my favourite films, I'd be more than happy to film sort of like a sequel video about more of my favourite films. Let me know if you'd like that, but if not, then I hope you've discovered a good film from this video, and in the meantime please feel free to recommend me any films you think I'd like based on this video down in the comments below, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye guys!